I would only say it's just nonsensical at this point. Why do we pay attention to him? I just feel like it's just negative energy, waste energy, and we can do a lot more by ignoring him.
Okay, well now you've taken a bullet out of my pistol here. No, it's okay. I don't disagree. Where do you think Liz Cambage? Again, I'm bad at pronouncing names. Cambage. Where do you think she ends up?
What do we, Monday? Camp starts on Sunday. This reminds me a little bit about the Sylvia Fowles situation, in that Syl was committed to sitting until she was able to get where she wanted to be. That didn't happen until middle of the season. I think it looks like at this point it'll be challenging to get something done. I don't think that with the move for Chiney Ugwumike to be in LA, I think it looks less likely. I don't think there's trade value that Greg Bibb has been looking for, and so now it's sort of a game of chicken. Cambage, you're either going to play where I trade you to, or you're not going to play. Dallas is not an option. So now it's like, okay, who is the number two? And I think Las Vegas is the number two, and so we'll have to see if something can happen with them. But I don't think anything seems to be imminent.
Right now, again, we've talked about all the growth, and I've always said that I really thought the quality of play is really improved over the years. I thought last year was pretty spectacular, which is one of the reasons your team had some struggles. You were playing really good teams night in and night out. Now we're looking at the WNBA without Maya Moore, without Stewart, without Taurasi for at least a while, right? Maybe without Liz. Does that hurt the league at all, or is that just the way it is?
I think it's on how you look at it. I think it's opportunity. I think there's opportunities for other players to now shine. I think the beauty of our league is that we are bigger than just one or two players. I think, like you said, we've shown that. Each market has some really special, talented players. If you look at our situation, I can't just pick one player that if you remove them, we've had our entire starting five, was that sort of identifiable, terrific player at their position, one of the best ever in their careers. And so I just kind of think, I said this when Taurasi took a year off, we're still going. Again, there's opportunities for other people to be exposed now to fans, and we create new stars.
And what did you think of the quality of college basketball you saw this year? How is the NCAA doing in terms of women's college basketball in depth and quality?
It's a great question. I think I found myself, number one, I think I was able to watch more basketball. It's more accessible. There's more networks with the game on. I felt like you could watch a game all the time. I think the quality of play, and I think the WNBA deserves credit for this. Each year, if you look at the draft, we kind of go, okay, compare this to 4 years ago. The number 12 pick, for example, 4 years ago, what did it look like? And you kind of do that, and you go, it's very clear trajectory is upward for college basketball players. There's more parity as we've seen. I don't know if that will last. I think UConn will reload and be pretty darn good, but I've enjoyed the heck out of the parity. You don't know who's going to win. I thought Notre Dame across the board had the best team, the most talent. All 5 starters ended up being drafted. That's hard to do. And they ended up obviously not winning it, but I enjoyed college basketball this season, and I think it's a testament to how long we've had the WNBA. Young girls are playing at a younger age. They're having a dream about playing in the WNBA, and that just it serves to improve play at a younger age, and therefore, by the time we get them, they're pretty darn good.
I lived in the Lakeville area for a long time, and I helped coach whenever I could, and it was really interesting when you had Liz Podominic there. You had some really high-profile players who went off and played college, and the next year you'd see just a whole flood of young girls who wanted to be like Liz, and that was one of the reasons they've had great programs, but it's also a reason they'd had just a lot of participation, even from girls who probably weren't going to be college players. They just wanted to go out and give it a shot.
I think it's changed it, and like I said, WNBA, it's getting harder and harder. We've had 12 teams for a long time, and a roster of 12. So, we're butting our heads against that ceiling. There's a lot of good players that don't have jobs in the league. So, whether I'm an advocate for two things. One, expansion. I don't think we should get too big, but I think we're ready for a couple teams. And I'm also an advocate for longer games so that the players that we do have can play more. So like a 48-minute game like the NBA does so that we can play like if you look at our group, I just told Karima today, figure out these minutes. It's tough because there's a lot of players you want to play, and you got to figure out how to do that in a meaningful way.
And the other thing a 48-minute game would benefit you by doing is give somebody a better chance of scoring 30 or 40. And that's what lights up on the highlight shows is they say, oh my God, this person scored 40 points tonight. Well, it's hard to do in a 40-minute game.
That's very true.
We'll have a live question. If Shelly wants to pop up here, we'd love to talk to Shelly too.
And Plenette Pierson.
And Plenette. So
Coach, I was really surprised by the CBS deal myself. Great new place to broadcast games. Comes out of nowhere, really, with no president in place. Without a president in place, let's say you can make some changes right now. They hand you the mic and you can do what you want, the magic wand. What would you do other than, would you expand the season, shorten the season, more home games, less home games? Or what would you change as well as the 48 minutes?
Well, and I have to be careful because I think there's a lot of things being discussed around the CBA, and I think that's what's exciting. This CBA negotiation is a little different than the things that are being talked about. I think there are some options that can be explored that can increase revenue. That's the name of the game: is how do we increase revenue? If I had the ear of the NBA, the first thing I would say is, well, there's two things I would say. One, we're going to go walk to ESPN right now, right? We're going to walk in that office and we're going to talk about increasing the revenue we get from ESPN. I think that's important. I think that's where we start. The second place we can increase revenue is now that you can bet. The NBA is getting 1% of all bets placed. What percentage of that can the WNBA have? That's another place for revenue. So there's two areas that I would want to tackle right away. I think we need change with regard to overseas play. The only way that you do that is to entice the players to be home for possibly a longer season. That's not easy to do. Europe does not care about U.S. basketball, like not for a second. And so I think at some point we have to stand up and say, and we don't care about European basketball. But the way to do that is money. Europe always wins that battle. We have to flip the narrative. It's not easy to do, but we need real movement with regard to sponsorship dollars. We need an aggressive involvement in big dollars. How do you do that? You got to have people that are able to go in and tell the story of the WNBA. We have tremendous personalities in our league that people want to partner with. I just don't think our story is being told in the ways that I think that are compelling. And so hopefully the new president will be able to do those things.
Thanks for the question. We appreciate it. Again, put up your hand if you'd like to ask a question. I want to welcome Shelly Boyen-Breen. She writes the Shelly Bean the Sports Queen sports books. They're youth books targeting kids 4 to 9. And I'll shut up and let Shelly talk about it.
We have about 45 minutes left.
Shelly asked me what time we had to be off the stage, so...
I've got a little song and dance routine I'd like to do.
We'll
a little something for the kids.
She's shy, so let's try to bring her out of her shell here.
Yeah, I'm shy like my friend.
First of all, tell me how you got the idea. Because, I've written, I wrote one kid's book, and I just felt like, God, it's a lot of work, and it's a hard process. So why did you start writing books, and how difficult was it to get rolling?
It was purely an accident. And that's the truth. I came across a Scholastic book order form, and at the time I think I was working for the Lynx, and I had started a nonprofit to help girls in Minnesota play sports, and I thought, millions of girls are playing sports now. I wonder what books are out there representing that. And when I was a kid, I didn't enjoy reading because I could never see myself in books, and I was absolutely irate that it was 2006, and all I could find were books that had girls doing cheerleading and horseback riding. And so I waited for a few years for somebody to do something about it, and they didn't. So then I started playing around with ideas for another 3 years and collecting rejection letters from publishing companies, which was a lot of fun. And I decided that if somebody was going to do it, it needed to be me. And so I started a Kickstarter campaign and my own publishing company, and now we're looking for world domination. That's all. I don't know why you laugh.
Why is anybody laughing at that?
Yeah. But, I go into elementary schools all over the country, and I'm asking kids, what do they love about playing sports? And I've talked to over 60,000 kids in the last 3.5 years, and they all talk about how it makes them feel, being with their friends, being with their family, the memories, challenging themselves, and only twice have they ever said that they love winning. And I think that's part of the story. That's the story of the WNBA and all of the things that are happening within the game, that we can be sharing those stories. And that's what I want Shelly being the sports queen to do.
So go to ShellyBeingTheSportsQueen.com/LinksCoachReeve. That's the right code for this promotion.
It's really close.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just go to do that, and you'll get 15% off your order, or just go to ShellyBeingTheSportsQueen.com and check out all the cool stuff. She's laughing at me, so I'll let you take over. You'll do better than me at this.
What were we talking about? I'm listening to my son.
Oh, that's
you're Oliver up there.
Laughing at me. Not that I don't deserve it.
No, I wasn't laughing. I wouldn't do that.
Oh,
my
yes,
mom
you
taught
would.
me better.
Yes, you would.
What were we talking about?
Well, let's talk about Shelly's book.
Well, so one of my favorite stories that Shelly tells to these young kids is the story of Shelly, the basketball player. And I'll let you tell the story, Shelly. But it was in the moment that she was about to score her 1,000th point. So I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, this is a true story. My senior year of high school in Brainerd, I was about to score my 1,000th point, be the first girl in school history to do it. There'd been a countdown in the newspaper. The cheerleaders made a banner with my name on it. The marching band was there and bouquet of roses waiting for me. And ideally, the other team got a technical foul when I had 999 points. So my team put me at the free throw line. I was the only person at the free throw line, one shot, and successfully I airballed in front of what felt like the whole town. And so I talked to kids about what it means to fail. And as a role model, can you quit and cry your eyes out as much as you want to and leave the game? Or do you get back up and try again? So I never thought...
Did you score the 1,000th point?
Well, yeah, a couple minutes later. Yeah, it happened. But I never thought that I'd be sharing that story the rest of my life, thousands of times. But I'm glad it happened.
I have an interesting question for Shelly, because Shelly used to be the director of sales for the Minnesota Lynx. I don't know what year was the last year that you were involved.
04.
So I'm curious, for your early days in the WNBA, the Minnesota Lynx from 99 to 04, what's different now than maybe the walk that you were walking back then?
Winning is awesome. We've got an amazing general manager. I think GM of the year is definitely up for grabs here, right? It's more mainstream, so we have a lot more coverage. We have more media coverage. We have more games on TV. This year is going to be even better. And each time we gain more coverage, we have more fans. But the energy within the arena hasn't changed at all. And the game, to me, is just as pure and getting more elevated and exciting. And the players that are coming out of college, are just that much more dynamic. So I see the energy of the game improving and increasing, but the energy of the fans it's the same.
Yep. There's more of them?
There's more of them.
That's good.
That is always helpful. Would have made my job a lot easier.
I wish we could have worked together.
I've told the story before too. I think Brandon and one of our other podcast hosts on the network, they came out to one of your games late last season. It might have been the Lindsay game, and they appreciated the Lynx, but they hadn't been to a game. They both came away saying that was like the best sports experience I've been to. It's once you go, you see it, and it's a different vibe, because I feel like so many of the sports I cover, it's all that matters is winning.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to win. You got to please me by winning, or this has been a wasted night and a wasted amount of money. And at Lynx games, you don't get that vibe. You get the vibe is, I hope this team wins, but we're here for more than that.
I want to win.
I know.
I haven't had fun.
We know. Well, Shelly, we appreciate the sponsorship. We appreciate your books.
Thanks for having me.
And your work, and it's always great to see you. Thanks for being up.
Where's Plenette? Plenette thinks she's getting out of this. Come
Plenette,
here.
your boss is
Come on,
calling
Scooter.
you.
We have a question. We'll give you time to get down here, P.
So a lot of new players on the team. Obviously, a lot of decisions left to be made. But I'm curious what strengths you see of the group that you have, and how does it change the way that you play?
Great question. I've spent a lot of time on that. Once we got Odyssey and that last piece to it, I worked throughout the offseason on a playbook. Getting an idea of what we think. Once we get through free agency, and then we get to the draft, and so it's been kind of fluid. I want to still do some of the things that we've always done, X and O wise, but I also recognize that this group's skill set is very different than maybe some of the other players that we have, particularly at the point guard spot. We're going to be able to get some ball pressure and activity defensively that's going to be at the point of attack that I think is going to be really valuable to us. We had that with Renee Montgomery and Anna Cruz in 2015. It was vital to what we were doing. We want to employ some of those same things defensively. We've always been really good in the post defensively. Sylvia Fowles, Rebecca Brunson, we're